Hey folks, this is Ardwulf with a quickie update on Vanguard's Saga of Heroes. We will not consider this a real episode of Ardwulf Presents. I'll instead put it in as an addendum to the previous episode. We're going to check in on a couple of things. I've been playing a little bit. As you can see, if you noticed yesterday, I was fairly deep into XP debt on level 30. I've made some progress here in the Wardship of the Sleeping Moon, which is a cool looking elfish place. I tend to do a lot of adventuring with elves and in elven areas with this character. There's a couple of things that I mentioned in yesterday's show that I want to touch back on, and that's one of which is this shave and a haircut item, which is in the... It's actually been removed from the store by itself, but it's still available in this Witness Protection Pack. You can actually go to any general goods vendor and buy this item for 10 silver, which is not a ton of money. Not a trivial expense for like a level 5 character, but beyond that, it's not a ton of money, certainly not at level 30. Just from, I don't know, half an hour of killing blood howlers down here by the Wardship, I racked up about 20 silver. So money in Vanguard, there are some economy problems, as there are in pretty much every MMO, with the exception of EVE Online, really. Even in EVE Online, but they're different types of economy problems. The scaling on the money, I mean, like this 3 gold that I actually have here is actually a fairly decent amount of money. It's not a ton. If you're into plat, I think there's a 5 cap limit on free players' accounts. That is a shit ton of money in Vanguard. It's not a very credible limit, except maybe at the very, very end game. That 5 plat is something like your entire earnings by leveling from 1 to 50. So not a ton of problems with that particular issue. One of the other things that was mentioned in a comment, oh, we have a quest to turn in. That's this guy. This is what we call the golden path. It's not really like an optimized leveling path. It's more like, in Vanguard, it's more like at the rift stones. Let's take us down to the rift stone here in, where is it? Here in the Wardship. Well, anyway, it's on the other side. Ah, there it is. At the rift stones, there's an NPC called the Rift Keeper, and at certain level increments, turn names on here, which we can do by pressing the N key. He will have breadcrumb quests that will take us to various areas, and he'll usually have 3 to 5 of them that'll say you can go to this area or this area or this area. Let's find that NPC again. There we go. I don't think I'll end up with a... And I get a pie out of it. Soul food. It doesn't look like I got any significant amount of XP from that. There's not a ton, as far as I can see, of actual quests down here. It may be that you need a certain amount of faction to get to some of the quests. I believe there's some armor down in this area, but there's a lot of there's crafting taskmasters and there's trainers down here, so it's a relatively full-featured quest hub. There's a foes for the Sleeping Moon quest where you go kill blood howlers. You got to kill 10 of them for the first one, 50 for the second one, which is the one I'm in right now. And I think eventually you'll get enough faction to get some more quests down here, but I don't really see anything. There's a lot of buildings, and I haven't necessarily been in all of them, although I think I have. Another thing that I should mention in the cash shop is that if we look at the pets, I want to say this, we'll see if they fixed... Nope, they didn't fix the preview tab yet. But it's got me on my mount, moving, with his head chopped off. Hey, look at that. That's what we call a glitch. Anyway, apparently this Drake Rider is like pink or something. This Drake is like pink or something, and that's not especially cool, I don't think. That is a Drake rather than a Wyvern. Well, it says Drake Rider's Wyvern. Which one is it? Is it a Drake or a Wyvern? I think it's a Wyvern from the screenshots that I've seen. So we're still poking around with this. So far, it doesn't look like there have been a bunch of substantial gameplay changes. I've only seen like 2 quest rewards since the big patch came in, and neither of them was an upgrade, although I did see an upgrade drop down here. I got a new mask. We'd show you that, the average mask of the Lightfoot, and it is a gold membership required drop. and it is blue, which I think is, let's see. So blue tends to be gold membership required. I should have mostly blue gear on this guy. There's green gear too. One of the other things that I found out is that any existing Vanguard characters that you may have will have their gear grandfathered on. This is something that they didn't do in EverQuest 2 to the enormous aggravation of existing veteran players who had lapsed for a while and had came back and found out that all their gear had been stripped off of them and that they had to pay to unlock it. That's not going to be the case in Vanguard, and you will also be able, the actual gold membership flag is removed, so you'll be able to, for characters like a bard, for example, that might have multiple sets of gear, you'll be able to remove that gear and put it back on freely, so it's not like you have to pay every time you have to re-equip it. So that's a relief. I am cognizant of the potential issues with any free-to-play implementation, this one as well. But I am relatively happy with what I see so far. I'm not going to walk you through it, but I did a brief perusal of the player finder tool earlier, and I found out that it was topping out every time. There was it will find a maximum of 40 players, and I couldn't get to anywhere, even limiting it to a single level in the low levels up to about level 20, where it wasn't maxing out, and that's a big change. Down here in Wardship, which is roughly a level 28 to 35 area, I think. It's appropriate for this level 30 character, certainly. There's like 6 or 7 people walking around here right now, and I'm, as usual, not playing at a peak time. Down in Call, there were enough players. This is where I initially zoned in with this guy. There were enough players to make the whole chunk relatively laggy, so I got out of there as quickly as I could. It wasn't unplayable, but Call is, more or less a city hub rather than a hub where you do adventuring stuff, and I would have preferred not to have dealt with the low frame rate. Right now here in Wardship, I'm pulling in, even recording, 30 frames a second, which is not at all bad, and it's pretty much been upstairs from that, so I haven't had any significant lag or performance issues out here, but this is not going to be, at least at the moment, one of the most populated areas in the game. So that's a quick rundown of some additional observations that I've made so far with Vanguard free-to-play. I hope you've enjoyed watching this much briefer video than yesterday's video, and I hope you will tune in and subscribe. Down in the description you will find, which I forgot to mention yesterday, links to me and Ardwulf's Lair on Facebook, Google+, and Twitter, as well as a link to my website at ardwulfslair.wordpress.com. So check those things out, subscribe, and I will see you next time.